All right, so on the color page, these are all the clips on my timeline, and for each one, there's a graph of nodes where each node applies more changes like in sequence. Lately, I've just been applying the same grade to every clip, and so the better way to do that is you can also do it at the timeline level. If I go to timeline here, now whatever I do here will be applied to the whole timeline. This curve I added, it does some soft clipping, so again, I mean those scenes where like there's a really brightly lit sky and the rest of it is dark. That brightly lit part tends to be clipped. There's no detail in it at all. It's just all like clipped at the very top. So I messed with this soft clip setting down here. Instead of just clipping everything above a maximum value to that maximum value, it kind of slowly rolls it off just to kind of maintain some detail in those clipped highlights. And then I also adjusted this curve. I mean, on a technical level, I don't know anything about like color balancing, but I felt like the color temperature of these images needed to be changed. But if I did that, it always messed up the image. It never looked right. And what I realized is that if I just enhance the blue highlights, which is what I did with this curve here, it seems to really have the effect that I was after without messing up anything with the midtones of the shadows. The gain is kind of the most crucial one here. It does the heavy lifting. If I turn that off, you can see it goes way back down to, this is the SDR footage from the camera, but it's going through DaVinci color management. So this isn't really like how it looks if I just played it in QuickTime. This is just kind of a preview of how it would look in an exported HDR video, but you can see there's a huge difference. And I just learned about this. I think the first place I came across it was in a YouTube tutorial by Camera Tim. He had a scene that was shot with multiple cameras and he was matching them, and he wanted to adjust the exposure of one of them. And he said, you know, the purest way to do that, as if you had adjusted the exposure on the camera itself, is to set your node's gamma to linear and then adjust the gain. So a gain of 1 is no gain. So I cranked mine up to 3. For this running footage that I get, that just seems to be the level that really fills this HDR range and makes it look like again, like a naturally lit outdoor scene. Camera Tim and others have mentioned Colin Kelly, who has a lot of stuff on YouTube. In one of his videos that I watched, he went into some more depth about this, and it was pretty interesting. You can get an equivalent effect, and actually he was pointing out the differences, but I was mostly struck by how it's almost exactly the same. I had a parallel node. So this is just the timeline gamma. So in these big HDR color spaces, similar to like raw photography, the values are logarithmic. So a value really represents orders of magnitude, and it's an exponent. The difference between lower values and higher values is not linear, but exponential. And because of that, you can cover a much wider range, hence high dynamic range HDR. But anyway, in this logarithmic gamma that my timeline uses, there is an equivalent adjustment to gain in the linear domain, and that is offset. So now if I disable the node where I adjusted the gain and change the offset, it should have the same effect. And there's not, I mean, I don't know exactly what value is going to correspond to a gain of 3, but eventually I'll get to that point if I just keep sliding it. So that looks pretty close to me. I think I went a little bit too far. Yeah, that's pretty much the same. So I don't know, I just thought that was kind of cool. And you know, fundamentally the reason that those are equivalent is it goes back to like 7th grade algebra, where log of A plus log of B equals log of AB. You know, that tells you why scaling or adjusting the gain in the linear domain is equivalent to the offset or addition in the log domain. And apparently there's yet another third way to just adjust the exposure that's more, I don't know, official. So I'll add another parallel node. It's this HDR wheel, and if you adjust the global exposure, whatever your timeline gamma is, it will account for that and do what it needs to do to just adjust exposure. I think that's about where I was. So I'll save that as a power grade. I'll probably reuse this a ton. And I still want to look at, this is pretty much done, but I still want to look into whether adding the motion blur effect here on the color page, like we'll go to the clip level here, go down to temporal again. Now if I add the motion blur here, it's attached to this node rather than to the clip on the timeline. So like conceptually, I kind of like that, but I don't know that there's really any practical difference. So yeah, for now, I'm just going to reset that. You know, there's other things too. Like you can change the input sizing from the color page. There's a lot of like duplication. I think like when you're a professional, you pretty much work in one page or the other, right? I mean, you're really good at editing or you're really good at color. So it kind of makes sense that, you know, I mean, there are certain things that both of those people might want to do. And it's just like a different UI and a little bit of a different way of thinking about it.